4.54 billion years. That's how long this Earth has been around for. 4.54 billion years. Humans have been on this Earth for 200,000 years, which, in the grand scheme of things, isn't that long. Just think about the amount of people who have walked around this planet. Currently, the Earth is populated by 7.7 billion people. It's estimated that for the past 200,000 years, 150 billion people have lived on this planet. Can you believe it? 150 billion people. Not everyone is the same, though. Come to think about it, I don't think I've ever met any two people who are exactly the same. We're all unique in our own way, but also share similarities that bring us together. What people need to understand is that everyone is different in their own unique way. Some of the differences between us are bigger than others, but just because you like coffee and someone else likes tea, doesn't make them a bad person. We're all different and unique. A lot of people living differently and loving differently. In Britain, 3.6 million people identify as gay or lesbian. That's 6% of the population. 2% of the population identifies bisexual, whilst the other 92% are heterosexual. Society is changing. It's a lot more acceptable to be gay, bisexual, trans today, but it shouldn't just be acceptable. Like the LGBT plus community are just given a pass that makes it okay for them to be who they are. It should be the norm. People shouldn't have to worry about what others think or will do or say just because of who they love or who they find attractive. It shouldn't be a problem for a man to say that he's attracted to another man or for a woman to be attracted to another woman. But sadly, that is still the case today. Did you know that homosexuality between men was decriminalised in England in 1967? Decriminalised. But 73 countries in the world today still call it a crime to be gay. In 1986 in England, 19 years after homosexuality was made legal, gay and lesbian people still had it tough. They still weren't accepted into society, and they didn't have many of the same rights as heterosexual people.
Are you sure you're going to be okay?
I'm fine.
What, do you need to go to the hospital or?
For a broken lip and a busted nose. But a lot worse.
Just sit down.
So what was it about this time then?
Same as what it's always been about. Being disgusting, being a disgrace, being a little fairy.
Bastards. Right, we should report this.
To who? The police? Like they're going to do anything about it?
This isn't right.
I know it isn't right, but there's nothing much we can do.
People need to be educated.
You're damn right.
People don't want to listen.
We can make them listen.
No one wants to listen to a bunch of queers like us. They take one look, spit, and walk on.
You talk like you've given up.
I'm just sick and tired of trying to change people's minds.
So what? Are you just going to hide away? Go back in the closet?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, it bloody well sounds like it, all right? Just... People can't ignore us forever. Okay? The more that we speak out, the more that we rally, the more people will stop and they'll hear and they'll notice us.
The more busted lips and noses I get.
The Labour Party's motion to add gay and lesbian rights to their manifesto.
And it'll be rejected again.
Maybe with that attitude.
Oh, so by having a positive attitude is going to make everything better.
Well, it's better than just giving up hope.
Just sick and tired of trying to change people's minds.
Don't you think we're tired? But we have to stay strong. We have to support each other so that other queers aren't afraid to come out.
Oh, well, it's kind of hard when you have a whole government against you. When people are brainwashed to believe that people like us are unnatural.
Look, people are afraid of change. Okay, they're afraid to accept new things into society. I mean, look back 20 years ago. No one bothered us because no one knew we were gay, because we were too scared to speak out. Now, we're more free to talk about it, and we can change people's perceptions on who we are.
But things aren't better since the 60s. The police, the government, now know who to target since they passed that law of same-sex relationships. Face it, we're just second-class citizens without the same rights as everyone else.
In the 1980s, homosexuals didn't share the same rights as heterosexuals. The age of consent for gay men was 21 years of age. gays were constantly being targeted by police, often being unlawfully detained without just cause. As well as that, homosexuality wasn't allowed to be taught about in schools, and the history of AIDS caused moral panic across the UK, adding to the discrimination of gay people. This discrimination was fuelled by the fear that was being promoted by politics and the government.
Well, if you want the same rights as everyone else, then you make a stand for it. You don't sit around complaining about being beaten and oppressed.
We just keep going around in circles.
Because it's better than staying still.
Same thing in my books.
No, it's not. It's not the same. Look, I'm just as tired as you are of the names and the beatings and the discrimination and the ignorance, but I genuinely think it'll stop. Not now, maybe not soon, but someday. Someday, they'll accept us. And until then, we put up with the names, and we put up with the attacks.
But that's not right.
Well, it may not be right, but it's what we've got to do to let people see.
The journey for freedom is difficult. In 1967, homosexuality was decriminalised. In 1970, the Gay Liberation Front was formed to support the rights of gays and lesbians in Britain. In 1972, the first Gay Pride rally was held. In 1977, the first Gay Lesbian Trade Union Congress took place to discuss rights in the workplace. 1980, homosexuality was decriminalised in Scotland. Northern Ireland decriminalised it in 82. In 1984, Chris Smith became the UK's first openly gay politician in Parliament. Jumping forward to 2000, the Labour government repealed the ban on homosexuals serving in the armed forces. 2002, same-sex couples are granted the right to adopt. 2003, the ban on teaching homosexuality in schools is lifted, and employment regulations make it illegal to discriminate against gays, lesbians and bisexuals. In 2004, the Civil Partnership is passed. 2006, the Equality Act is passed. 2014, same-sex marriage is passed in England, Scotland and Wales. By 2016, the UK Parliament had 40 LGBT plus MPs in Parliament, more than any across the world. And this year, same-sex marriage in Northern Ireland became legal on the 13th of January. You see, most journeys are long, and a lot of the time, you feel like giving up, just because it's the easiest thing to do. But you can't just sit back and take it. You must stare adversity in the face in order to make a change. Look at our society today. People are a lot more open about their sexuality and who they are.
What are you smiling at?
Nothing?
Must be something.
Well, it's not.
Who are you texting?
Never you mind.
It better not be Emily.
It's not.
Don't go back there. That girl was bad news for you.
Don't worry, I'm not.
Okay. Who is it then? Someone new?
Maybe.
What's her name?
His.
What?
I'm talking to a guy.
What do you mean you're talking to a guy? Aren't you a lesbian?
No.
How can you not be a lesbian? You were in a relationship with a girl for like 3 years.
I think I'm bisexual.
What do you mean you think you're bisexual? You're either straight or you're gay.
You can also be attracted to men or women.
I think it's just being greedy.
Greedy? What do you mean by greedy?
You know what I mean by greedy.
No, I don't.
I mean, greedy, wanting both.
I can't believe what you're saying. You're saying I can't be attracted to someone no matter what gender.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Then what are you saying?
I'm saying that you either find men attractive or you find women attractive.
Well, I'm attracted to both.
But how?
I already explained to you. I don't know what's so hard for you to understand.
You can't just switch back to being straight.
I'm not switching back.
It kind of feels like you are.
How does anybody know they're gay or straight?
You just know.
I don't believe that's true. People need to discover who they truly are.
So you're saying you don't know who you are?
I know who I am. I'm bisexual, but I don't know why that's so difficult for you to understand.
I understand. I know what that means. It's just...
What does it mean then?
It means you don't know if you like men or you like women.
No, it means not being attracted to a specific gender.
Okay, who do you see yourself ending up with, man or woman?
That's the thing, I don't know.
Do you want to have a family?
Yeah, I can still have a family with a woman.
Yeah, but then you have to go through like adoption, sperm donors. You can't just get up the duff.
Wow.
It just sounds like you're trying to take what you can get.
Well, you can think what you want to think, but don't try to tell me what I am, because I know what I am. I'm attracted to men and women, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's not being greedy. It's not being indecisive, okay? Just don't put your opinions on me to tell me what I am, because I know what I am.
You know, it's difficult to deal with other people's understanding when it's different to your own. And people don't like to admit that what they thought to be true is wrong. It can be hard to change people's minds. The bisexual community fought for their rights. In 2001, the American Psychological Association changed its guidelines so that it no longer recognised bisexuality and homosexuality as a mental illness. It's really about understanding and educating to achieve true equality, not only within the LGBT+ community, but beyond when we consider intersectionality. You may be brought up with an idea of what is wrong and right, which can be hard to get rid of. After all, you've grown up with this understanding, but you need to be open-minded and be able to accept that there are different ways of life. We live in a generation where people are a lot more forthcoming and open-minded about sexuality, but we also live in a time where there are still large groups of people who don't want to accept that times have changed, that so many of us are different. Nowadays, more people are openly identifying as transgender or non-binary, someone who feels and identifies as a different gender from which they are born. This is something that many people struggle to understand. When it comes to identifying who you are, there are a number of terms that are used. Gender is a social construct of how a person identifies. Sex is the biology of a person. Sexuality is a person's sexual orientation. Gender dysphoria is when a person doesn't feel comfortable with the mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. This feeling of dysphoria is what sets a number of people on their transitional journey.
Hi, my name is Charlie. I was born September 4th, 1991 and was assigned male at birth. I grew up just near the end of traditional male and female stereotypes.
Blue for boys, pink for girls. Boys don't cry, man up.
It was weird if men had female qualities.
You're awfully feminine for a bloke. You must be gay.
You had to oppress certain feelings, not let them be known to the rest of the world. Growing up, I felt out of place, as if I wasn't where I was meant to be. When I was young, say 4 or 5, I used to spend a lot of time with my cousin, Katie. I used to play with her Barbie dolls, dress them up and brush their hair. My dad used to say,
"What are you doing? Playing with girls' toys?"
I never understood the appeal of my own toys. I definitely didn't understand the appeal of Action Man. Sometimes, me and Katie would dress up in each other's clothes. It was fun. I never thought of it as strange. It was always normal to me. Adults used to comment on it, saying things like,
What is he doing dressing like that?
You people always have to make things so complicated.
you know, I heard that so much, that it was a phase, that I'd grow out of it, whatever it was.
If you're born male, you're male.
That's what people used to say, but it's not true. I've never seen myself as male.
Well, you must have at one point.
Maybe at one point I tried to fool myself into believing it because, you know, society tries to ingrain it in me. But I was in denial.
You were confused.
Of course I was confused. I was thinking one thing, but other people were telling me that I was wrong, that I was confused, and that how I was feeling was somehow not normal, which just confused me even more.
I'm not saying that you don't feel like you were born in the wrong body, but at the end of the day, you're male, and that's it.
My sex doesn't define me.
It kind of does.
You may see me as one thing, but I don't see myself as that. Sex is not the same as gender.
What do you mean? Of course it is.
Whatever happened to the good old days when if you were born a boy, you were a boy, and if you were born a girl, you were a girl?
It's a lot simpler that way.
A lot more straightforward.
That's the thing. Life isn't simple or straightforward. It's full of complicated emotions. It's so hard to describe to people how you feel when they're not experiencing it themselves. People ask me questions about being transgender and transitioning, and I don't mind, I suppose. I guess it's how people learn. But when other people ask me them questions, it's as if they're trying to convince me that I'm wrong.
So you feel like a woman?
Are you sure?
You might just be a feminine man.
You're probably just confused.
You could be gay?
I'm attracted to women.
Well, that doesn't make sense. If you're male and you want to be female, but you find girls attractive, then what's the point?
It's not about who I'm attracted to. It's about how I feel in my own body.
And how do you feel?
Well, that's a difficult question. I know how I feel, but to explain it to other people is really difficult. I tell some people and they just accept that that's who I am. But other people try to, tell me that I'm confused, that I'm wrong, that, it's a phase, and it's just worse when you have other people's opinions to put up with.
So you're thinking of transitioning?
Hormones.
Surgery.
You need to be sure now.
There's no turning backwards.
It's a big commitment.
That's why you need to make sure that it's not just a phase.
It's a scary thought, going on this journey. It's even worse when you have other people's opinions to put up with. I see myself as a woman. I want people to see me as a woman. I know some people won't see me that way, and that's okay. I'll shake it off because it's none of their business. This is my journey and my decision. This is something that I want.
7.7 billion people. That's how many people are on this earth today, and no two are the same. All anyone wants is to be happy, and to do that, we have to be who we are. Many places in the world still refuse to recognise LGBT plus rights. And it's not just abroad. It's in this country too. Don't get too complacent. The first Pride was a riot.
So thank you so much for coming, and I hope you've enjoyed our 3 short stories, and I'd like to introduce the cast to you. First of all, we've got Megan Hayward, who played the narrator. We've got Jack Parker, who played Dave. Ethan Yandall, who played Mark. Ruby Tebbs, who played Claire and Sophie.
That was a hanger.
We've also got Naomi, who played Beth. And last but not least, we've got Ben, who played Charlie. And I'd also like to introduce the writer, Thomas. Where you are? Come on. Cool. So obviously I just wanted to open up to a very short Q&A. So has anyone got any questions for overall? Don't ask me, that's a joke. Or anything for the cast at all? Don't all jump out at once. Imogen.
Oh.
Where did all of these ideas kind of come from?
Well, Ed actually did a short film that had all the ideas in it, and Graham wanted to elaborate on the film, and that's where I got my inspiration, was from what he had, and I just expanded on it through research and asking people within the community about their experiences. And that was the end. Full stop, I should have said, yeah.
So where do you think you might take this?
Me again?
All of you, because there's so much richness here. Where might you take this forward?
I think it just definitely lots, because I only had a few months to write it, so if I had a few more months to kind of do research and expand and elaborate on the ideas, because there's so much that has happened, there's so much you can touch upon, so I think if I had more time, I could explore other areas.
We have somewhere else for us to do it.
Yeah. No, just to elaborate on that, like I actually was thinking about that a couple of nights ago, and I thought it would be very helpful. I know just for schools, like if it was just went around a couple of local schools, I think it would definitely bring a bit more insight.
Well, we're also doing a podcast version of it as well.
Right.
So yeah, people will be able to access it that way.
And it's been filmed as well tonight, so we'll be able to put it on our YouTube channel so we can share it. And obviously, as Ethan said, hopefully it will go to schools either as the TV show, as the film. I don't tell you, no. As the film or as a live production. Cool. Any other questions, Jane?
It's not a question. It's just I really wanted it to last longer. It was really, really good. When the lights came up, I was like, oh, is that it? So keep going. Good stories to tell. Important stories to tell. Double the length. Go for it. Really
There you go, Thomas.
and well done, Graham. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well done, Graham. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's more of an open question to the whole cast. I was just thinking, what would you say the characters at the very beginning would think of progress towards the end?
Ethan, that's you can start that one off.
So you mean the characters from the first story?
The very first story.
God. I think if they were just sort of transplanted here and told everything that's gone on, I think they would initially be really excited. I think from the way that those people were talking, it seems like they are people that they're not gonna.
They're quite bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I think, as in, if they heard about any form of acceptance, it would make them happier.
Yeah, but
so
I think after that initial excitement, it would be like, okay, but then why is this still happening? Why is that still happening? Where I thought that by the time the government was passing all these things, that we would have moved past people getting beaten up on buses, but we haven't.
Flying cars?
Yeah.
Also that, you're like, excuse me.
Why are gay men still being beaten up under Canal Street?
Yeah. So I think they would think we've done a lot, but we've not done enough.
Harry.
So to follow on from that then, it's like 30 odd years between the first scene and the last scene, yeah? So 30 years from now, what do you think are the next steps? What sort of progress do you think ought to be made?
Good question.
I have opinions. I think, for me, what would be really nice is, personally, is that I can choose where I can go on holiday and not have to base it off, Wikipedia telling me where I can go without being deported or I can go without being killed. I think for me and for my partner as well, it's that we can both donate blood. Also for me, it's that because I'm transgender, we had an inside joke that I did a full 360 because I played a trans woman, but I'm a trans man. And I think for me, it's that other trans people don't have to wait as long for NHS services because, you know, it is like a 5-year wait at the minute. And like, I've been lucky that my parents have been able to pay for like surgery and stuff like that. So, you know, so that other sort of trans people don't have to have that wait and don't have to deal with their own mental health in that time. I think it would just also be really nice if, you know, just people like things like Pride and things like, things like Pride truly recognise progress going forward, and that we can get to a point where Pride is completely a celebration and not just this, you know, for some people, because I was saying that for me, Pride is still a reflection on how far we have to go. I'd like to get to a point where Pride isn't that I can just enjoy existing.
I think as well, like, in 30 years, I'd like to think like we'd have broken down a lot more of the sort of barriers between intersectionality within our own community, which we get in all sorts of things. There's rampant transphobia and biphobia within the LGBT community. You saw those that L without the T who turned up at Pride and all of that kind of stuff. But realistically, I think in 30 years, what we'll have done is we'll have ended up further down the road that I think we're going on at the moment, which is basically capitalising on Pride and this idea of like rainbow capitalism and companies just slapping rainbows on things and not actually doing anything to deal with the issues. Because if you look at how far we've come in the last like 5 to 10 years, if you looked at how many more companies are slapping rainbows on stuff, you'd have thought we'd come on way further than we actually have.
And you think as well, where do those rainbows go at the end of June? They're gone.
So I've got a question. Obviously, Ethan and Thomas were aware of these. Obviously, you've obviously had the most to learn in terms of like kind of LGBT characterisation. So how have you kind of found that journey? So Ethan, should we start with you first?
So basically, like, yeah, I've got quite a few friends who are homosexual, bisexual, transgender, and I've been quite fortunate that they've been able to tell me about their experiences, you know, good and bad. So that was sort of some of the things I could really sort of channel, but obviously I could never, ever know what they've experienced. But it was just something that I could touch upon, and then just thanks to your guidance, obviously, everyone in the play.
Yeah, we have been kind of beating watch Netflix more.
Basically, but yeah, that's
cool. Thomas.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just luckily I was brought up right, and I just know like understand people and get along with everyone, and this was a good kind of opportunity to kind of look into the LGBT community and just kind of understand kind of what happened and what's been through, and also it was educational for me as well. So I've kind of have all that knowledge and have that history under me. So
absolutely. Any other questions, Janet?
Speaking as a cisgender female, I think we shouldn't underestimate the impact of language and of us choosing our pronouns. I think that's a really important thing that we as members of staff in the university can do, as well as, you know, students, because it helps us to set the parameters so we will feel more comfortable when we're addressing people.
For sure. I think it's, to add to that, I think because when I came to this university, I was literally, I think I was about 8 months on testosterone, and like pre-surgery, like my family had just got around to understanding what it was. And what I really like praise this university for is how trans accepting it is. And I was really surprised coming in that like, wow, I'm not like walking through campus afraid, like, you know, I'm actually enjoying being here. And it's surprising like how many staff as well are just like really open to sort of, you know, introducing themselves with their pronouns and having badges with their pronouns on. Even something like the rainbow lanyards, like as much as sometimes they can be seen as like a bit of symbolism, it showed me that I was safe coming to campus. And like, you know, from that it's been really good. I've seen like more staff members putting the pronouns in their email signatures, which is just like amazing. So, I mean, I completely agree.
And just speaking as a friend's point of view, me and Ben met on our interview day before Ben had even begun his transition, and just seeing the level of confidence that you have in yourself and how much you've grown over these past 2 years.
Stop it.
No, and it's just because of the general acceptance of how the university has been. I've grown up in an area where, like, LGBT, queer people as a general aren't really accepted. And to see such acceptance towards someone that I hold so close has just been so amazing. And I hope that more places around the whole country, around the whole world even, begin to do the same, because it benefits everyone, not just the minority.
I think what Ben was saying about the rainbow lanyards as well, because obviously I just said about rainbow capitalism and all of that, but there's a difference between slapping a rainbow on something during June and keeping a rainbow lanyard on all year round.
Yes.
But only a few months ago we had some ex-students come into the union who were actually excluded from their membership of the Students' Union in the 90s for spreading LGBT information. And one of them said he hadn't been back in the building, he hadn't been back into University House since that day, and walking in and seeing staff wearing rainbow lanyards is the reason he felt like he could do it. And he has now got rainbow lanyards as standard across his own place of work, because he went back to work and spoke to the managers there and talked about how important it was to him, and now they've all got them.
Was it just me? Cool. Has anyone got any other questions at all? No? Cool. Burning, last chance? No? Okay. So I just wanted to see if you could put your hands together one last time for the cast. I was going to say a massive thank you to everyone that's bought tickets, because the money for those ticket sales will go to Salford Pride to enable more free events to continue happening, especially the Pink Picnic taking place later in June. And if you like quizzes, next Thursday, join us down at Bar Pop. Drag queens, Ed's DJing, it's going to be a great night.
Can we say thank you to Graham as well, because it's been like a really cool experience.
Now I'm bright red.
What?
Now I'm bright red. Okay, that's it for us. Join us down in Atmosphere Bar, where all the cast and creative are going to be there having a well-earned couple of pints. Thank you very much. Huh? I'm at work tomorrow.
Well, we're a long way from the Stonewall Inn. I'm standing on this platform, no one's stopping me to sing, but there's a multitude of sins that can hide behind your hashtag. Tell me again how love wins. Well, there's nothing new about this rage. It's a war that's always waged, like how no one bats an eye that when 50 of us die in it, it doesn't even make the Daily Mail front page. Well, sometimes it's like an uphill climb. Yes, sometimes it's like an uphill climb, but I'm right by your side, and that's what we call pride.